guys, I'm ChezPride and welcome back to another Sims News related video. And today on 8/19/2025, while I'm recording this, it is patch day. It's actually the patch that is the last technical thing on this season's roadmap. Now we do obviously still have kits coming in a day or two right after this, so it isn't the last thing for the season, but it is the last thing on the timeline, which means there's probably not a roadmap too far off. But today, let's focus on what we actually got in the patch that came today, because they wouldn't have put it on the roadmap if it wasn't meant to be somewhat of a big deal of a patch. But I just want to warn you now, if you're going to update your game, which I mean, you obviously have to, go ahead and back up your save files, take out your mods, especially with the patch we're getting today. I say do this every time you update your game, but from what I've seen on this patch and the breakage one of the new features is causing for some people, just trust me. Just make sure to back up your files and take out your mods. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why I'm putting even more emphasis on it than I normally do. So pretty much everything I want to touch on in today's video actually is touched on in this article right here on the EA website, just ea.com/game/thesims/thesims4/news, and then you can find this article, and it's called Performance Updates and Bug Fixes. And it came out, like I said, August 19th, 2025. Now, I do have another article that goes into more detail on one of the things we're going to be talking about, and then obviously I'm going to have to be going into my game and showing you guys different things. So, I do have other things pulled up to look at besides just this article, but this is what we're going to mainly be referring to the whole video. So let's go ahead and start out and just see what it says. So it says, Soul Simmers, today's update brings you a handful of new features intended to improve performance and player experience. We have included the Enchanted by Nature ailment option in addition to a handful of other bug fixes. And then it just says, thank you for your support. If you have anything to report it on the EA forums, blah, 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 all the normal things. But the first thing we're going to talk about, honestly, is the most exciting thing in my opinion, and that is the new skin details, which I think this, and honestly, probably one of the new features that are coming in the option menu that we'll get to in a minute are probably the reasons they put this on the roadmap. But I feel like the element tuning and what we've gotten to tune ailments is honestly the biggest feature, and I don't think it was even originally meant for this patch because it was kind of like an emergency fix they had to fix later on. I don't know. Interesting how that works. But we do have new skin details, wrinkles, freckles, and more. New skin details have been added to the base game for teens and older. We have a selection of rosacea, dark spots, age spots, and baggy eyes for faces, as well as stretch marks and freckles for bodies. For adult Sims, we've also added mouth wrinkles, body wrinkles, and learn more. So I'm a little sad that it's only for teens and older. I would really love to see more freckles and like dark skin spots for like the younger Sims. I will take what we get. I understand like wrinkles being only for like older Sims, like that makes sense. But I feel like the freckles and stuff should be available for the kids. But just my 2 cents, maybe they are, and I'm just like reading it wrong, but it does say for teens and older, so that's what I'm assuming. But I have a whole nother article pulled up. They actually put a whole video out on all of the things that were coming in the patch as far as body skin details go, but I of course am going to try to go in my game and find them all. They aren't labeled as new, so I'm scared I'm going to miss something. So in case I do, this is apparently pretty much everything we're getting. It's obviously zoomed in shots, so you can't see everything, but we have new face wrinkles, new body marks, like stretch marks, rosé, we have different freckles, we have dark spots. So there is a lot coming. It's on the body and the face, which I'm excited that they did both, not just one. So we are going to try to find everything in the game that it includes. But first, let's just skim over this article real quick. I won't go into everything it says, but pretty much it starts out saying that, skin details are important. It brings Sims to life. It's been a year and a half since we did the Vigilito. Am I saying that right? Vigilito, whatever it is, update. And that was the last big skin detail update. We have gotten some skin swatches, but they're unnatural skin swatches. We haven't had a skin detail update, which I will always take. So, we have that coming for us, and it just basically says that it wants to expand our representation, especially on elder Sims. And as far as what comes in the pack, it is wrinkles and age details, so elder Sims feel more unique and expressive. You'll find options for mouth wrinkles, eye bags, as well as age and dark spots for cheeks and forehead. We've also included upper and lower body wrinkles available with or without age spots in multiple densities. And then we have some new stretch marks on both the upper and lower body to expand upon the stretch marks that they added in 2023, so they'll probably match those pretty well. I'll try to figure out which ones are the new ones, but it says they're available in both dark and light tones, which is pretty exciting. Freckles, which I'm super excited about because I'm a freckled galley, so I always love seeing more freckles. And it says that they're similar to the styles of the ones in Growing Together, so I'm kind of happy about that because it was some big drama when Growing Together came out and all the skin details that we got were put behind a paywall, and we didn't pretty much get anything for the base game for free. So glad to see that. And then they are also adding is it Rosea? I don't want to say it wrong, but I think it's Rosea. So Rosea is now available as a skin detail in Creative Sim. We initially considered this for Elder Sims. Rosea is commonly is across many ages, though. You can choose from 3 options that show different levels of redness and irritation. I actually had a friend that had this, and they passed away because they had a bunch of health issues, but they had this, and it just makes me think of them. I don't know. It makes me sad but happy because I miss them, but still, I'm happy to see that they're including that because of them. But it says, we hope you enjoy your new skin details and get lots of use out of them, blah, 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 blah. And there's a couple of questions that they answered. So it says, can skin details layer with tattoos and body hair, which is, of course, yes. Can you choose the color skin detail? Oh, what about the pattern? You can't change the detail itself, but you have various options on how light or heavy it is, and light and dark color options. So they're trying to give you options here. Can the shape of the skin detail change on a Sim's body? Yes, skin details will adjust some depending on where you stretch or move their skin or body parts. If your Sim's body part, the detail will change with it. And will it carry over in my Sims ages? Can I add or remove them? Yes, as your Sims ages, details will stay with them. However, new Sims do not have access to wrinkles, which again totally makes sense. And it says, will new skin tips work on childhood? Not at the time, but we plan to add more for kids. Okay, so they are going to come out with some for kids, which I'm happy to see, but just not this update, which I'm sad to see. I guess I'll just have to wait. Fine. I'll be a good girl. I'll wait. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into my game real quick because I do want to actually try to find all of these. It says that we have wrinkles, age detail, stretch mark, freckles, and rosé. So I'm going to try to find those in my game real quick. like I said, they aren't marked or starred. So if I missed anything or mix it up with stuff that we already had, which honestly wasn't a lot, so I'm hoping I don't, then I do apologize now. But I'm going to at least attempt to show you all the swatches. So when I think of pre-existing Sims that already exist in the game that I just wish had more skin detail, the first Sim I think of is actually this old lady. So this is the fancy old lady that lives in an apartment with her son in city living. And her name is Gita. I don't know why in the past I've always wanted to call her Greta. I guess I just never read her name that closely, but it's Gita. And she lives with her son, Raj. And I always just imagined her having like darker spots on her and super wrinkles. Like, she's a fancy old lady, but she's definitely an old lady. And I feel like she deserves the wrinkles that tell her wisdom. So that is what I did. So I gave her most of the wrinkles and some of the dark spots. I gave her son some dark spots and some stretch marks. And then I also made her son a teenage daughter. And she has a lot of freckles plus some of the dark spots. Pretty much like there was multiple dark spots that I had to like spread throughout them. But then the other categories I tried to break up per sim. So let's go ahead and start with Greta and her wrinkles. So the one I'm most excited about is actually the new eye bags. And they come in multiple swatches. So you can kind of decide which eye bags you like the best. So there's this swatch, there's this swatch, there's this swatch, there's this swatch, and there's this swatch. I mean, just to compare, the one that was closest to this before we had in the base game was this. And, you know, that just doesn't look that great. This has so much more detail, and it's just so much more realistic. Like, it's also they're like super elderly elders. Like, this is pretty much what my grandma's eyes exactly looked like in her last 4 years. So, I'm really happy with this. It also brings some detail to the forehead, which is really nice. I don't know. I think these wrinkles are really nice. And then she also, I believe, she has the new mouth wrinkles. So this also has multiple swatches, so you can really choose the details here to compare. This was kind of the quote-unquote mouth wrinkles we had compared to these. Like, these, way better. Honestly, I really like this on her. But, right quick, I am going to take off the eye details just so we can see the dark spots I put on her face. So, like I said, there's multiple dark spots in this patch, but these are the ones that I'm showing off on her. So, these are like the cheek dark spots. So, there's like a couple of different swatches. These are more what I imagined her having, so I'm going to put these on her, and then I'll put her eye details back on. So I think I chose this one for her. Yeah, so that is her new face. I think she looks so much more realistic. Like, she looks like a true fancy old lady now. There's also body skin details. So for the elder Sims, there's two. Well, actually, it comes for younger Sims too. Basically, adults and up. But in body skin details, we have this swatch for elder Sims. So this provides dark spots and wrinkles on the torso body, and it even has like belly wrinkles, which is so cool. We haven't had that before. There's also another version that's a little less intense as well. So that's nice. But also, I just want to show you on the male Sim, if we look here on him where he's topless, I didn't give him the skin detail because I'm showing off the stretch marks on him. But if I were to show off this, it's actually really cool. So this is like what it looks like, just like a normal wrinkly old man Sim with spots, but they have wrinkly old trans man skin, like the nipples are off, like he had top surgery. I hope this is not a glitch. I hope this is not like, oh, this is a mistake, they're going to patch it and put nipples in, because I think this is so cool and so realistic for like our generation coming up, where there's going to be a bunch of older trans males with like chests like this. I think that's so cool. I'm not putting that on him because he's going to have the stretch marks, but I do like that little detail in there. But I think that's all the marks that I gave her. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure that's all the skin details that I gave her, though. Yeah, I think everything else her leg details. Okay, so they did add 2 leg details. I knew I was forgetting something. I was like, there's something else. So they have these wrinkled legs that kind of put some wrinkles under the bootay and put some freckles on your legs. And then they have the same thing, but just without the marking on the legs. I think the marking on the legs goes with this upper body wrinkle really well, so that's why I chose that one. So those are all the wrinkles that come in the game. And now there's dark marks and stretch marks I want to show off on him. So as far as his face goes, I gave him the rosé and some of the dark spots. I feel like I have to take off the dark spots to see the rosé. So let me just real quick go into skin details and show off the dark spots first, because I think that's the most obvious one here. If I could find the right thing that is selected here. Okay. There we are. So this obviously puts dark spots all over your face. I gave his daughter the smaller dark spot, but this is the one that just like comes all over the face. Really, I like this one on him the best. I think this looks good. But to see the other one, I'm going to have to take this off. And as you can see, his skin is slightly irritated and red, but there's 3 other options. So there's actually one with a couple of more marks, like skin marks. And then there's one that's like super irritated red skin marks. So that's kind of that. I think the middle one is the one I like the most. And then I'm going to put these dark marks on him, because I think that looks most realistic for him. And then he also has stretch marks. Well, he has some stretch marks, not all of them, because you can't. I wish you could put all of these stretch marks on at the same time. Unfortunately, you can't. So we have this and this, which, are okay. I like the fact they come in dark and light, so you can really decide the shimmy on them. I think in the darker spots they look a little bit better. There's these. I think these bring stretch mark. It brought us to the back, so does this bring stretch marks on your? I'm actually confused on what. Oh, these are the marks. Okay, I was about to be like, I don't see stretch marks there. Okay, the stretch marks are on this one. Sorry, they mixed up the stretch marks and like the wrinkles that I just showed you on the old lady. I don't know why they didn't put all of the stretch marks together and put these 2 separate at the bottom or with these right here. I don't know. The organization of these aren't the best. I will say that. I wish they would have either starred them or at least organized a little better. But we do have stretch marks that go on the back of the leg, which, I don't know. These stretch marks, they're okay. I appreciate them putting stretch marks in the game, honestly. But I feel like they aren't the best quality. These last 2 are a little bit better. There's back stretch marks, and then there's like side stretch marks. So you can see right here under his underwear, he has some stretch marks. Honestly, I think these and this swatch of the stomach stretch marks are the best. I feel like they could have been designed a little bit better. Honestly, the textures, as someone who has a lot of stretch marks, the texture is just slightly off to me. But I appreciate them trying to put in more skin detail. I think the wrinkles are way better, though. So far, the wrinkles and the dark spots are the best, in my opinion. So, we're going to give him that. And then, his daughter, I went ahead and gave pretty much all the freckles. So, she does have one of the dark spots that the other Sims have. So she has, let's see, where is the one I want to look at? Everything, I selected multiple things. Okay, this one. So this is like what her dad has, these dark spots. She has the smaller version of it. So we have that. And then obviously the freckles are very new. So these freckles are way more intense than any base game freckles we have. We have growing together freckles that look like this. And honestly, these are pretty good, and these like are very similar, but honestly these look a little bit more realistic than the growing together ones. These are the ones we had in the base game before to compare. These are definitely more prominent. So these are all the different swatches. It's basically in the same spot, but it's just like the different darkness of them. I kind of like the medium, the base swatch. I think that looks the most realistic. And I think that's all the face details she has, but she does have body freckles. So we finally have full body freckles, and I'm honestly obsessed. I'm honestly obsessed. We had the ones that were growing together, but they weren't like all over like this. I feel like these are like definitely more realistic for like wanting full body freckles. So I think this swatch looks the cutest on her. Like, it's just enough to notice. I don't know. I think it's cute. But that's pretty much, I believe, all the skin details we got. I mean, it was a Next DS drop. So for a Next DS drop coming on the same day as the patch, this is honestly a decent amount of skin details. And I loved how she turned out. Like, I think she looks so much better with wrinkles on her face, honestly. But now let's go ahead and jump back into the patch notes so we can go ahead and continue on to see what else is new. Alright, so I'm about to go over everything else that they talk about in the article before they talk about the bug fixes we got. But I'm going to go a little bit out of order than the article does. I'm going to talk about the two things that I can't really directly show you. We're just going to have to talk about. And then the last two things out of the four things that are on here, I can actually pop into game and show you because there are settings in the game settings in the game. So the first thing we're going to talk about is DirectX 11, which if you don't know what that is, basically it's supposed to like enhance your game performance, but I never really had that much trouble with my game performance, and it's supposed to like slightly make it like, I don't know. When it first came out, I feel like there was a lot of reports that with like if you don't need it, you shouldn't like actually download it. Like, and I never really had a problem with my game performance because I have a decent enough computer, even with all the packs I have. So I don't feel like I need it, so I never got it. But if you have a computer that like struggles, it might be useful to have it. I don't know. But either way, it's pretty much just something that's supposed to help your game performance improvement. It has something to do with making a bridge between the graphics card and the game. But it says as far as updates go, because it is updated several times since they have made the option to have this in The Sims. It says, we've improved DirectX 11 for PC users with Intel GPUs. Intel GPUs users will automatically default to the DX11 exclusible. Players with GPUs that are not Intel, Nava, or AMD will continue to use DX9, and then it provides a guide information. And then as far as performance updates, in this patch we have made several optimizations to enhance your gameplay experience. So we are enhanced rendering performance for smoother visuals. I feel like they do that a lot, but as the game gets older, I'm sure it needs it more and more. Improved responsiveness by optimizing how graphics are processed. Fixed an issue caused by crashes when certain graphic settings were being used. So that's helpful. I'm sure that was more on like low, I don't want to say like low quality, but low quality computers. Address a shadow flickering to ensure more stable reflections in the water, which is always nice because reflections since earlier Sims games have always been something that's been weird. And resolved problems with lighting to maintain consistent brightness throughout gameplay. I hope that includes like with the windows and probably not the stairways, because the lighting with the stairways have always been glitched, but I'm hoping like maybe that has to do with the windows. Now the next two things we want to go over have to do with actual options that are in the game. And the first one I want to go over is the ailments. So like I said earlier, I don't think this is what they meant to have as be the main highlight of this patch, but I feel like this is the main highlight of this patch. So let's just go ahead and read it and break it down. So it says, in-game options, the latest expansion pack now has a pack setting option for ailment spread. Unchecking ailment spread will contain ailments to your Sims that have contracted it, so other Sims won't catch it. It's like a sickness that isn't contagious. You can have fairies deliberately give ailments to Sims. Neutropaths will still be able to treat clients who have ailments, and becoming very imbalanced can result in ailments. To play without the last consequence, just uncheck the enable balance and imbalance checkbox. This will prevent Sims from getting ailments from being very imbalanced, because they won't get very imbalanced at all. So when ailments first came out, this is part of the reason I haven't done my reviews on ailments yet or done too much gameplay in the pack. I actually have a gameplay review coming out very soon where I start breaking down the gameplay in the pack, but I've been slightly avoiding the gameplay in the pack just because of the ailments. When we first got them, they were constant. They were so glitchy. You got them every day, and you constantly caught them, especially if you were doing the being a neutropath. So it was very glitchy and very annoying. And the first fix they tried to do was just tone it back about how often you got ailments. So you have always been able to check off balance and imbalance. That's always been an option that we had, but that only prevents getting ailments from being imbalanced, because basically if you're imbalanced, if you have the balance turned on and off, then if you become imbalanced, you are more perceptive to pick up ailments. But at first they were like going crazy with it. So they toned down how often you got it to every day to every 3 to 4 days, unless you were in the career around ailments, because they weren't able to turn off the contagiousness. So now we should be getting less ailments from going out in public, or if you are part of the neutropath career, picking it up from your patients. You have the option, you can play with it still like that, but now you have the option to turn it off, which I think is really nice, because if you turn off balance and imbalance and turn off contagiousness, you pretty much like mostly turn off ailments altogether. Like there's still like a slight chance you'll get it, but you're not going to catch it, and you're not going to get it from imbalance. So I think that's a major improvement, and it's really a toggle that should have been in the game at first. Like I feel like that should have just automatically been there. Same with, like, I feel like luck, imbalance, and balance, and contagiousness of ailments should have just all been RE checks. Honestly, I just think ailments should be able to just to be a whole box completely. Like if you don't want to play with ailments at all, you should be able to turn it off, but this gives us mostly the ability to turn it off. So there is a picture of it here, but I will also jump into the game and show it off. But then the other thing we have to go into game and look at is the new pack selection. And this is why I told you guys to back up your save files before you mess with anything in this patch. So let me just read to you what they're talking about. So it says, pack selection is a new feature allowing you to customize your experience when starting a new save based on stories you want to tell and experiences you want to build. This helps free up resources on your PC, Mac, or consoles without needing to uninstall the packs you don't currently use. Please note that once you've started a save, removing packs may affect the save itself, so this feature is best utilized when creating new saves to optimize performance. So basically, they're saying if you're going to turn off the pack, don't open up a save file using the pack. Now, this could go as far as uninstalling a kit and then not having a clothing item, and like a sim in the town would be without a shirt. Or you could uninstall freaking vampires and open up your save file that there's a vampire in, and your whole save file could corrupt. So you don't want to do that. Basically, if you are going to play with the pack selection, you need to back up your save files first before you ever turn off the selection. I feel like the selection is most useful in like challenges where you need like everything to just be base game, or you need to play with just a certain like 5 packs to build with. That I can see it being useful for, because pretty much all this is allowing you to do is it's pulling up a menu and it's bringing up a menu of every single expansion pack in the game, expansion pack through kits, all of them. And it lets you select which ones you're playing with in game. So once you unselect it, I believe restart your game or whatever, that pack is no longer in the game. But from what I've heard, is breaking people's game if they're doing it wrong. And when people are trying to uninstall all the packs and then reinstall them, or I shouldn't say uninstall and reinstall, because the whole point of this is so you don't have to technically uninstall them. But when you're disabling them and then bringing all of them back, sometimes people are not getting their packs back and they're having to like delete a file out of a certain folder and then completely reinstall them. You can still have your games, and if you haven't opened up the save file, you're using those game files and it won't corrupt your files. But if you forget to reinstall them and then open up the save file, it corrupts it. It glitches if you try to uninstall and reinstall too many. And then also, it's just, there was already a way to do it in the EA app. It was just very complicated because you had to know which pack number it was. So like one pack would be, like an expansion pack would be like EP 10 or something. It would be like a certain expansion pack. Or stuff pack would be SP like 14, and it would be a certain expansion pack. You just had to know the number, and this is technically supposed to make it easier. And if you're just doing quick challenges and not opening up any files, I think you'll be fine. But just be aware, like, people are having glitches to where they're having to delete certain files to bring back their packs. And I don't think that's good. I think they're going to end up having to do an emergency patch on that. So I wouldn't mess with this too much. If you are going to mess with it, definitely back up your file and don't open up any file that isn't new. Like if you're going to do a build challenge with just like 5 packs, just open up the file. That's it. But I do want to actually go into game and show you where you can find the pack selection. So I'm going to show you the last 2 things I just talked about in the order I talked to you about them, because you actually have to be in 2 different areas to pull up these 2 different menu options. So the first one we talked about, the ailments, actually have to go per save file. So you have to open up a certain save file, and you'll have to do this for every save file that you play in, because it's customizable per save file, which I think is honestly better. I think all pack settings should be per save file. But then the pack selection we're going to talk about, you actually have to be in the main menu to access. So let's talk about the ailments first. So first, you open up whatever save file you're wanting to play under, or if you're in a new save file, just open up that one. And you go to game options and then pack settings. And depending on what packs you have will be which ones you have here. But I'm just going to currently close out everything. I might honestly disable Bust the Dust. Like, once I see if they fix the tuning on the glitchiness I told you guys about the pack disabling, I might just straight up disable Bust the Dust, because I've been wanting to do that. I just haven't wanted to go through the complications of doing it through the EA app. But basically, I'm going to shorten everything, and Enchanted by Nature, of course, is the very last one. And right here, we have all the different pack things you can enable. So you can enable luck. So you can disable the luck if you want to. You can disable limits to fairies and Inniscreen. You can enable balance and imbalance. So you can turn that on and off. And like I said, the imbalance causes elements. So if you don't want elements from imbalance, you turn that off. And if you don't want elements from contagiousness and you only want to be able to get them from like fairies or whatnot, then you disable this element spread. So if you want it basically absolutely no ailments at all, pretty much just check off all these, and unless a fairy casts one on you, you probably won't get one. But again, it just also depends on which save file you're playing with and how you want to play your game. I do like the fact that they finally have given us a toggle for all three, but at first, like I said, we didn't have that option. I just feel like this should have been an option in the first place. But like I said, I really think just ailments in general should just be one big toggle we can turn off. I don't feel like you should have to turn off all three, but just my opinion. But then when let's go ahead and go out to our main menu so we can look at the actual pack selection. So to go from here, you just go back to your main menu, and then you will press on the little three dots, and from here you can click pack selection. And as you can see, it literally brings up every single pack you own, and it divides them into expansion pack, game pack, stuff packs, kits, and free stuff, and actually unowned packs, which I really appreciate. Yes, there are actually 2 packs I don't own, surprisingly. I will probably never buy Journey to Batu, but Machino stuff pack I do want to eventually get and do like a late review on, like year later review. I don't know how I ended up not getting that one. Somehow I didn't though, and I actually really want that one. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the pack selection. So as you can see here, you can specifically choose what packs you want in the game. So if you want it just like the first 6 expansion packs, you can uncheck the rest of them and just have the first 6. Or like say you want to build with just the Crystal Creations and Perfect Patio and Tiny Living, as like a challenge, then you could uncheck everything but that. You can also select easily to deselect all or unselect all. I say easily. This is where most people are having the glitch, because it does say we recommend only disabling packs when starting a new save file. But it also says that when you re-enable them or disable them, depending on how many you're re-enabling or disabling at a time, it will determine on how long it takes to like load in, like basically transition from what you have in game now to what you selected. And sometimes it's never ending. So a lot of times people will unselect all the packs and then go to reselect them and put them back in, and it'll just be an infinite loop. And that's where they're having to go delete a file and then reinstall them. And it's a whole glitchy thing. So if you are going to do it, I'd be very selective when you do it. I would be selective how many packs you re-enable and disable at one time. And I would always back up your files. Always back up your files before you do it. And don't open any files that aren't new. So it is good for some reasons, but I feel like they're going to have to tune it for it to be good for everything. So that's pretty much everything that is new coming in the patch. Everything else that we have to talk about are bug fixes. So let's go ahead and jump into those real quick so we can go ahead and wrap up this video. Okay, so the only thing that they talk about in the article that we haven't gone over that aren't bug fixes are just the fact that we have kits coming out in a day or two. And of course, like I said when I talked about those kits in a previous video, I will be downloading them and reviewing them for you guys. So keep an eye out for that. But now let's go to bug fixes. And surprisingly, they don't have that many bug fixes. But I guess with them adding all the new stuff and then doing those toggles, I shouldn't have expected many bug fixes, but we have 5 for the base game. So it says all sneakers from our 25th anniversary update can now be found in the cold weather category. Our wide jeans from the anniversary update can now be found under masculine fashion preferences categories, so be masculine or feminine now. The tuck tee from the anniversary update are both available for athletics, sleep, and hot weather categories, which honestly makes me happy because I feel like hot weather and sleep just don't have as many things tagged as they should. And then the feminine fashion preference will now see the blazer and T-top from the anniversary update, and then the curly shag hair from the anniversary update is now listed under the wavy hair texture. Wait, is there a way to filter by hair texture? I don't think there is. There's the length, but I don't think there. I'm so confused. Can we? I didn't think we could filter by texture. I don't know. That's weird. At least they are categorizing it right. I think the most miscategorized I have is updos. Half the hairstyles that are updos are not marked as updos. They're marked as either medium or long length. I don't know. It's all weird. The whole categorization of this game is weird. But for console, there's 3. So with recent updates, we identified that an update user agreement and privacy cookie policy was not being shown, causing the game to be offline. Simmers will now be prompted to accept the agreement if it's an updated version before reaching the main menu to allow game to connect to the gallery. So that was actually a problem I heard a lot of console players having, so I'm glad they fixed that. Settings configuring game options such as volume levels should now accurately save between sessions. We are aware of an incident where some PlayStation users may see a disabled size prompt and a version of a user agreement when starting a new session, and we are monitoring and investigating this. So some things fixed, some things they're still working on. And then in live mode, when the notification wall is opening, press RT and R2 will clear all notifications. No longer affects the game speed. So all good fixes there. And then we have high school years. So when 4 or more teens from active household attend high school, all of them have a high school day task now. So I don't think I've ever played with more than 4 teens in high school at a time, even in my 100 baby challenges, or just baby challenges, not really 100 baby challenges. It was more like ABC baby challenge. When I did the 100 baby challenge, the high school years was not out yet. But I don't think even in baby challenges, I've gone with more than 4 teens at a time. So I wouldn't have known that was a problem. And then when adding a sim from the gallery in business and hobbies that has custom tattoos in a household in a new game, the sim skin no longer turns pitch black. Oh, that's what was causing that. Yeah, I was wondering why sims I was putting out of my gallery was coming in pitch black. Like, I tried to like put a version of my legacy heir in a different save file for a video that's coming out, and like when I placed him, his skin was completely black. It was so weird. I was like, this is not what he's supposed to look like. I had to like basically place him a couple of times and it fixed it, but it was weird. And then for Enchanted by Nature, we do have 2. So for more flexibility on how to play in element spreads is now a toggle. We already went over that. And when cooking, Sims with bad luck are now less likely to start a fire. That one I saw was really annoying for people that were playing with luck. And then the sleep bathroom kit is the last thing on the article. So it says, dirty state on the Serenity Stone tub bathtub, Throne Stone toilets, and sleek stone sinks are now properly displayed with the correct color. And dirty state will no longer incorrectly change the color of a swatch of the Serenity Stone tub bathtubs. So that is everything in this patch that is in the patch notes. Now, I have checked throughout the day to see if I saw anybody post on Twitter stuff that wasn't included in the patch notes. So far, I haven't seen anyone post anything. That doesn't mean there isn't stuff that they didn't include in the patch notes. They tend to put things in the patch notes and then also put things in the patch that aren't in the patch notes. I don't know if it's an oversight on their part or if they're just trying to sneak things in. I don't know. But so far, I haven't seen anyone post anything about stuff that wasn't in these patch notes. So I'm pretty sure this is everything that came in the patch and the SDX drop today. But if I am wrong, feel free to let me know and tell me what else is new in the game. And hopefully these bug fixes aren't causing worse bug fixes. Like, I mean, I know the whole, like, toggling things on and off is causing problems, and they are going to have to fix that when it comes to the pack selection. But other than that, I haven't heard too many glitches going on from this pack, but it's still the day of. So just keep in mind with these patch updates, they are meant to fix things. They are meant to have solutions to problems we're having in the game, but sometimes they either say they fix it and then it breaks again, or it just doesn't get fixed, or it breaks. So there's always going to be more patch updates to come in the future, but for now, this is the one we got today. So anyway, guys, I'm going to end this one here. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that awesome stuff because you guys are awesome people. I'll see you next time. All right, bye!